On my 10th anniversary, my husband said, I planned a trip for us. My hand shook as I opened the ticket, it was only for one. My mother-in-law smirked, he'll explain later. I took a deep breath and said, actually, I have a flight too. When they saw who I was leaving with, their smirks disappeared. Mark and I met in college in Boston. He was studying computer science, and I was pursuing graphic design. Our paths crossed during a group project, and from there, our relationship blossomed. After graduation, we moved to San Francisco to chase our careers and build a life together. We settled into a cozy apartment in the Mission District, savoring the vibrant culture and food scene. Weekend hikes in Muir Woods became our ritual, a way to escape the city's hustle and reconnect with nature and each other. As the years passed, we upgraded to a townhouse near Golden Gate Park. Our careers flourished. Mark secured a position at a prominent tech company in Silicon Valley, while I established myself at a reputable design firm. On the surface, everything seemed perfect. We had our routines, morning coffees at the corner cafe, Friday night dinners at our favorite Italian restaurant, and Sunday strolls through the park. But beneath this facade, cracks were forming. Mark's mother, Evelyn, had always been a looming presence in our lives. Residing in Seattle, she would visit occasionally, each time leaving me feeling scrutinized and inadequate. Her comments, though subtle, were piercing. "Oh, you're still working at that design place? I thought you'd have moved up by now," she'd remark, "or no grandchildren yet?" "Time's ticking, dear." Mark often dismissed my concerns, attributing them to Evelyn's old-fashioned ways. As our 10th anniversary approached, I was filled with anticipation. A decade together was a significant milestone, and I hoped we'd celebrate it meaningfully. Mark had been hinting at a surprise, dropping vague comments about an unforgettable experience. My mind raced with possibilities, a romantic getaway to Napa Valley, perhaps a trip to Europe, or even a simple weekend retreat in Big Sur. The morning of our anniversary, I woke up to the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Mark stood by the kitchen counter, a small envelope in hand. His expression was unreadable, a mix of excitement and something else I couldn't quite place. "Happy anniversary," he said, handing me the envelope. I took it, my hand slightly trembling with excitement. Before I could open it, the doorbell rang. "That must be Mom," Mark said, moving to answer the door. Evelyn entered, her presence as commanding as ever. She wore a tailored suit, her hair styled to perfection. "Happy anniversary, dear," she said, giving me a brief hug that felt more obligatory than heartfelt. "Thank you, Evelyn," I replied, forcing a smile. "Go on, open it," Mark urged, nodding towards the envelope. I slid my finger under the flap, revealing a single plane ticket. My eyes scanned the details, a first-class flight to Paris, departing that evening. "Paris?" I exclaimed, my heart pounding. "Mark, this is incredible." Evelyn's lips curled into a smirk. "He'll explain later," she said, her tone laced with something I couldn't quite identify. I looked at Mark, searching for answers. "But there's only one ticket." He shifted uncomfortably. "Yes, about that." Evelyn interjected, "It's a generous gift. You should be grateful." Confusion and a creeping sense of unease settled over me. "I don't understand. Are you not coming with me?" Mark avoided my gaze. "It's complicated. Let's discuss it over breakfast." We sat at the dining table, the atmosphere thick with tension. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. "Mark, please, just tell me what's going on," I implored. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I thought you could use a break. Time to relax and unwind." Evelyn sipped her tea, watching the exchange with evident satisfaction. "But why just me? Why not both of us?" I pressed. Mark stood, placing himself between us. "Let's not do this. Not today." I took a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions. "I need some air." Grabbing my coat, I stepped outside, the cool San Francisco breeze hitting my face. My mind raced, trying to make sense of the situation. Something was off, and I was determined to find out what. Over the next few days, I became increasingly suspicious. Mark's behavior had changed: late nights at the office, secretive phone calls, and a general sense of detachment. I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that there was more to the story. One evening, after Mark had fallen asleep, I noticed his laptop on the coffee table. Hesitating for a moment, I decided to look. It wasn't something I was proud of, but I needed answers. Opening his email, I searched for any clues. My heart sank as I discovered a thread of messages between Mark and someone named Sophie. They spoke of plans, shared memories, and a trip to Paris. The most recent email confirmed a hotel reservation for two, coinciding with the date on my ticket. Tears blurred my vision as the reality set in. Mark was having an affair, and he intended to take his mistress to Paris under the guise of sending me on a solo trip. The betrayal cut deep. Memories of our life together flashed before me, the promises, the dreams, the love we once shared. It all felt like a lie. Determined not to let them have the upper hand, I formulated a plan. I reached out to an old college friend, Daniel, who lived in New York. He had always been supportive, and I needed someone I could trust. "Daniel, I need a favor," I said when he answered the call. "Anything for you." "What's going on?" he replied, concern evident in his voice. As I stepped outside, a car pulled up. Daniel emerged, his familiar smile offering a semblance as I stepped outside. Daniel got out of the car. He looked just the same as I remembered from college, slightly older, sure, but calm, grounded, dependable. He gave me a hug, firm and real, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Inside the house, I could hear the door swing open. Mark's voice shot through the tension. "Wait, who's that?" He stood on the porch, eyebrows raised, hands slightly lifted like he wasn't sure what to do. Evelyn followed close behind, arms crossed, her eyes scanning Daniel from head to toe. "Well, isn't this interesting?" she muttered. I didn't flinch. "This is Daniel. A friend. He's taking me to the airport." Mark blinked, slow like he was trying to piece everything together. "You could have just let me drop you off." I let out a small laugh, cold and dry. "I think we both know that ship sailed. You planned a whole trip to Paris, with someone else." His face turned pale. Evelyn's expression twisted. "That's not true, right? Tell me that's not true." Mark didn't answer. I looked him dead in the eye. "I saw the emails, Mark. I know about Sophie. The hotel confirmation, the dinner reservations. You were sending me to Paris so you could sneak her in without me asking questions." Evelyn finally snapped, stepping in front of him. "You brought shame to this family. You lied to your wife and your mother." Mark's hands were shaking. I didn't know how to end it. I got caught up. It wasn't supposed to go this far. Daniel shifted beside me, not saying a word but clearly ready to step in if things went sideways. Evelyn turned on me. "And you? What's your part in all this?" Dragging an old flame back into the picture like it's some soap opera. I took a deep breath, tired of pretending. "Daniel isn't a flame. He's a friend. Someone who actually shows up when people need him. Something your son clearly struggles with." That hit harder than I expected. Mark flinched, and for a second, I almost felt bad. Almost. Then Evelyn dropped the twist I didn't see coming. "You think you're so clever, don't you?" she said, her voice suddenly cold. "So you found out about Paris. Fine. But what about last year? Did you know this isn't the first time?" My stomach twisted. "What are you talking about?" Mark looked away, jaw tight. Evelyn kept going. "He didn't just cheat with one woman. There was another. From his office. That conference in Austin? He wasn't alone." I turned to Mark. "Tell me she's lying." His silence was all the answer I needed. I staggered back a little, the world spinning for a second. Daniel caught my elbow. You okay? No, I said honestly. I'm not. Mark stepped forward. I never meant to hurt you. I got lost. The pressure, the expectations, everything felt like too much. Sophie, she just made things feel lighter. I didn't think it would go this far. That's the second time you've said that, I snapped. If you didn't want a marriage, you could have said something years ago. I did want it. I just wanted a side dish with your main course? I cut in. He looked like he'd been slapped. Evelyn, for once, had no words. She just stood there, arms still crossed, looking at her son like she didn't even know him. I turned to Daniel. Let's go. We headed for the car, but just as I reached for the handle, Mark called out. Wait. I paused, not because I cared what he had to say, but because part of me wanted to see if he had anything left in him worth hearing. Don't leave like this, he said, walking toward me slowly. You can't just end a decade together without a real talk. I shook my head. You ended it the second you brought someone else into our bed, even if it wasn't physical at first. You broke the vows. You broke us. He was close now, maybe too close. I stepped back, and Daniel put a hand on his chest. That's enough, Daniel said, calm but firm. Let her go. And then Evelyn added something I wasn't expecting. She's right, Mark. You don't deserve her. You messed up worse than I thought possible. And if she walks away, I won't try to stop her. Mark's eyes widened. Mom, but she didn't look at him. She looked at me. For the first time in 10 years, I saw something different in her face, not judgment, not coldness, but maybe, respect. I gave you a hard time, she said. But you didn't deserve this. The weight of it all hit me hard. I got into the car without another word. As we drove away, I could still see them standing there. Mark looked like a man who had just realized too late what he had lost. Evelyn, silent and still. I didn't know what came next. But I knew this story wasn't over. As we pulled away, I didn't look back again. Daniel drove in silence for a while, not trying to fill the air with questions or small talk. I appreciated that. My mind was a storm. Pain, confusion, betrayal, and this low, simmering rage that hadn't burned out yet. About 10 minutes into the drive, just as we crossed onto the freeway, my phone buzzed. It was a text. From a number I didn't recognize. You don't know me, but I think we need to talk. It's about Mark. I stared at the screen. Daniel glanced over. Everything okay? I showed him the message. He frowned. Want to respond? I didn't answer him. I texted back, who is this? A minute later, the reply came, my name's Leah. I was Sophie's roommate. I found some things. I thought you should see them. I felt a cold chill spread across my shoulders. What kind of things? There was a pause. Then 3 images came through. Screenshots. Messages between Mark and Sophie, except they weren't just romantic. They were scheming. One stood out instantly. Mark, she's still clueless. Once she's on that flight, we'll have the whole week to figure out what we do with the joint accounts. She doesn't suspect anything. Evelyn's helping. I froze. Pull over, I said. Daniel looked surprised but nodded and exited the freeway at the next off-ramp. He parked in a quiet lot outside a 7-Eleven. I scrolled through the messages, hands trembling. There were at least 10 more screenshots, all from the past month. They weren't just about an affair, they were plotting. Money transfers. New bank accounts. Something about liquidating our shared investments while I was away. I couldn't breathe for a second. Let me see, Daniel said. I passed him the phone. His face tightened as he read. They were trying to clean you out, he said. Jesus. My hands curled into fists. She said Evelyn was helping, I whispered. That which was smiling in my face while they were planning to rob me blind. Daniel handed the phone back. What do you want to do? I stared out the windshield. I'm not going to New York. Not yet. He nodded slowly. You want to go back? Not to cry or talk, I said. I want a lawyer. I want to shut down everything. Freeze the accounts. Secure what's mine before they can touch a penny. Daniel turned the key in the ignition. All right. Let's go get your life back. Back at my house, I didn't go in right away. Mark's car was gone. So was Evelyn's. Good. I didn't want to see them. I grabbed the important files I'd stashed in my home office: birth certificate, marriage license, bank statements. Then I called my firm's legal counsel and asked for the best family lawyer in San Francisco. She gave me a name: Claire Munoz, specializes in high-conflict divorces. I called Claire's office immediately and explained the situation. Her assistant didn't even hesitate. Come now, she said. She's available. Claire didn't waste time. After reviewing the screenshots and listening to everything, her expression turned hard. We'll file for a financial protection order today, she said. They won't see a dime of your money. And we'll get a private investigator to trace anything they've already moved. What if it's too late? I asked. It's not. And if he forged anything? That becomes a criminal case. That word echoed in my head: criminal. This wasn't just cheating. It was theft. It was fraud. That night, I stayed at Daniel's apartment. His place was small, cluttered with books and art supplies, but it was warm. Safe. I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling. Thinking about how little I really knew the man I had married. At 2 a.m., my phone buzzed again. A different number this time. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. It was from Sophie. I didn't know the full plan. I swear. I was just supposed to go to Paris with him. I thought he was getting a divorce. When I found out about the accounts, I confronted him. He said it was just to protect himself from you, that you were vindictive. But then I saw the transfers. I saw Evelyn's name on one of them. That's when I knew I had to get out. I'm not going to Paris. I'm leaving town. But I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't want to be part of this. I stared at the message for a long time. She ran. She bailed. And maybe that was smart. Or maybe that was guilt. But at least she told me before they could finish the job. My heart was still breaking. But now, something new was growing in its place: rage. Clarity. This wasn't just about a broken marriage anymore. This was about revenge. And justice. And it wasn't over. Not even close. I didn't see Mark again until the following Friday. I'd spent the entire week in lawyer meetings, freezing assets, changing passwords, and pulling my name off every shared account. Claire moved quickly, which I was grateful for, because Mark finally realized what was happening. He tried calling. Then texting. Then emailing. I ignored them all. But that Friday, he showed up at my workplace. I was in the middle of a project review with my team when the receptionist walked in, pale. Your husband is in the lobby. He's demanding to see you. The whole room went quiet. I stood up, straightened my jacket, and walked out like I was going to war. He was waiting near the elevator banks, looking disheveled, dark circles under his eyes, shirt half tucked. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. When he saw me, he stepped forward. Can we please talk? He asked, voice low and hoarse. I crossed my arms. You've got 5 minutes. Not here, he pleaded. Please. Somewhere private. Against my better judgment, I took him to the small break room near the back of the office. It had frosted windows and a door I could shut. As soon as it closed, he started. I messed up. I know. But I didn't mean for things to get so twisted. I didn't answer. He kept going. Sophie left me. Evelyn won't return my calls. Everything's falling apart. And now you've frozen the accounts, the condo, what am I supposed to do? You're asking me that? I said, my voice trembling with anger. You tried to steal from me. You were planning this behind my back. Mark's face twisted in pain. I didn't think you'd find out. I was scared. You've always been so put together, so confident. I thought you'd leave me eventually, and I panicked. So you cheated. Lied. Plotted. Robbed me. That's your idea of self-defense? I said, my voice rising. Suddenly, the door opened. Evelyn walked in. Apparently, she'd followed him. I knew it, she said, her voice sharp. You'd turn everything on him. Make yourself the victim. I stared at her, stunned. I am the victim. Your son cheated on me. Lied to me. And you helped him. She scoffed. I helped my son survive. He was drowning in guilt and pressure. You emasculated him for years. Daniel stepped into the doorway next, holding his phone. You may want to shut up, Evelyn. I'm recording. She paled. Mark looked like he'd been hit with a brick. You're what? I'm not letting you twist this around, Daniel said calmly. You two were about to strip her life down and run away laughing. You don't get to play the sad puppy now. There was a moment, an explosive, loaded silence, where I swear time stopped. Then Mark cracked. I didn't want to hurt her, he shouted. I loved her. But I didn't know how to keep up. She always made more, knew more, did more. I felt like a failure every single day. You were a failure, I said coldly. Not because you didn't make more money. Not because you weren't perfect. But because you chose betrayal when you could have chosen honesty. He sank into a chair, head in his hands. Evelyn stood frozen, lips twitching, looking like she might say something but thought better of it. Daniel turned to me. Do you want to press charges for the financial stuff? I looked at Mark, slumped, broken, finally exposed. No, I said. Not yet. Word got around the office fast. Some coworkers were supportive, a few awkwardly tried to stay out of it. My boss, surprisingly, was understanding and gave me a few days off. I spent those at Daniel's, where we just talked. Watched movies. Cried once. Then laughed the next morning because it felt absurd. Mark moved out. The condo was mine now, legally frozen from any attempts he made to lay claim. Sophie left the state, changed her number. Evelyn? She issued a fake apology through an email. Said she hoped one day I'd find forgiveness in my heart. I didn't reply. In the months that followed, I rebuilt. Therapy helped. So did work. So did time. Mark never really tried to come back. He sent one letter, handwritten, apologizing without asking for anything. I didn't throw it away. But I never responded. Daniel and I stayed friends. Close friends. But I wasn't ready for anything more. He understood. I learned a lot in that year. About love. About control. About how silence isn't peace. And sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who'll do the most damage if you're not paying attention. But I also learned that you can survive it. Even if it breaks you for a while. You can still survive. And maybe, just maybe, come out better. I'm still not sure what comes next. But I know this, whatever it is, I'll face it with my eyes open.